Hey everyone, this is Kevin Schreiber from downtown Pittsburgh Dogs. Hope you all are doing very well, and thanks as always for watching. I wanted to talk today about a topic, rather a conversation that I have with individuals that call in to downtown Pittsburgh Dogs. I usually get this conversation about once a month. Most of the calls that come into downtown Pittsburgh Dogs are from people that say, I'm working too much, I leave my house at 7 a.m., I don't get home until 7 p.m., can you help my dog get some exercise, bathroom break in the middle of the day, or I see that you walk in packs, can you get my dog to join in the pack because I'd like a little more socialization for my dog in its day, or I'm traveling for the weekend, can you watch my dog? Those are the typical conversations that come into us. But about once a month, I'll get calls from people, from individuals, and I always title this conversation the dog, the house alarm, or the shotgun conversation. That's just the topic, that title I give it. You'll hear it, you'll understand as I explain a little bit more. So people call in and say something like this. I'm thinking about getting a dog, and I wondered if you can teach me and teach my dog how to bite people. They'll say it in some form that is similar to that. Can I get my dog to bite people? And I'm asking them what's going on? What are you thinking about? They're typically saying, and then as I probe into it more, they'll say things like, well, I want my dog to defend the house or protect my house, or I want my dog, another one that happens is, I work the night shift, my wife is home, I want my wife to be able to tell my dog, to anybody else that's not me, or whoever that she determines, or whoever they determine, that this dog is going to bite this other person. So they're, and as I talk to them, they're typically they're in situations that are just either questionable. But let me dive into that. Let me go into that a little bit later here. So people want to get a dog to protect their house. I've got a crazy ex or something going on, and they're like, I want to get my dog, but I want it to like me and like everybody else that I say, but then I want it to viciously attack or hurt or maim somebody. They may not say that, because as we know, we don't want a dog at all to maim someone else. But in terms of a self-defense situation, we want that dog to be a self-defense tool. And so what I say to people is, are you, worried about, tell me about your life situation a little bit. What's going on in your life that you think you want this dog to protect yourself? Because I'll usually dissuade people from doing that for a couple reasons. And they'll say things like, well, I live in a sketchy neighborhood, and there's people walking around that, the doors and houses are close together, and people are checking doorknobs and checking, stuff. And I read statistics that dogs keep people away from the house. Well, and they're going to protect people, and they'll bite intruders and blah, blah, blah. Well, if you're living in a bad part of town, that's your choice. Figure out how to protect your house differently. And this is where I say, get the house alarm. A house alarm, if you want to get a puppy, a dog, going back to the dog for a second, it takes a long time if you were to train it. Schutzhund training is a type of training, canine training, where you're actively turning the dog into using their teeth and their mouth in an offensive way. Very difficult. Takes a ton of time and energy. Individuals that breed and raise dogs that are designed for canine type of work are different than pet dogs. That's not, we do pet dogs, as in we want to make your dog a better, a dog inside of its community. Well, that canine work and that bite work is very specialized and takes a long time. It takes breeders and people that raise the dogs, 2 or 3 years to get the dog to a moment where they can then sell it for lots of money to a police agency. So the dog is 2 or 3 years old. It's got to pass a lot of tests before the police academy or the police, an agency or whoever buys it from somebody for tens of thousands of dollars. That's a lot of time and energy. The amount of that you're paying for dog food, the amount of time that you need to put into training. I mean, you got to work on the dog for 3 or 4 or 5 to 8 hours a day of work to get it up to that speed. 8 hours a day is 40 hours a week. That's 2,000 hours a year times 3 years. You're going to put in 6,000 hours of time before the dog is even ready to be up to a standard that people envision on the television, they see Rin Tin Tin, they see all these things. So the amount of time and energy you're going to put in is tremendous. Most people don't have that much time, energy, and discipline. The other side of that is if you're putting that much time and energy into a dog to become a defensive, canine type of dog or a protection dog, it's not social. It doesn't talk to the neighbors. It doesn't play with the kids. It doesn't roll around with other dogs at doggy daycare because it will kill other dogs and other humans. So it is not a social, cuddly, I get to cuddle with it at night and eat popcorn and watch Netflix type of dog. Not at all. It's outside. It's very isolated. So you create this energy inside of the dog by isolation, by the training that you do. So it is not intertwined. At least the training goes counter to any type of pet dog training. So you are going to create a dog that is always going to be, some people like to say, or at least the phrase that I use is a dog like that's either poorly trained or trained for that or poorly socialized. It's like a stick of dynamite that's lit. You don't know when it's going to go off. You don't have control of it. It's a wild animal. They have their own minds. That's the one thing I always tell people about training. The dogs always have their own mind. They can do and think their own things. So then I tell people, you know what? It might be easier if you just get a house alarm, alarm for your house. If you're worried about people breaking in, I know the police don't respond right away to that. But you can buy alarms now through your cell phone company attached to your Wi-Fi. They cost $29 a month. They come in 3 days to install it. Boom, it's up and running. You can see on your cell phone when somebody's in there. You can put cameras up too. So, your house is protected, or at least if somebody's breaking in and you may not be there. You may get, but your alarm system is going to go off. It's going to alert authorities. And they're pretty reliable. They're very reliable. So for $29 a month and you never have to pick up poop, you never have to exercise or go for a walk with your dog, you can have your house protected. So that solves that. Again, I would not use a dog. Think of all the time and energy versus just getting a fire alarm. And then I tell people, if you need to defend yourself and you are unable to, you are unaware of your situation and you're unable to change your situation, as in you can't move somewhere else or can't get rid of your friends, or if you have toxic family members that are in your life and you can't get rid of them, and people are breaking in and they are unafraid of you being at your house at that time, for example, and they're not deterred by you being there, someone's breaking into your house, guess what? Either you learn a fighting martial art, or I always say get a shotgun. You're going to win every time. Get a gun. A gun's going to solve anybody coming into your house. And if you're using the firearm, obviously you get trained and everything, but you can buy a shotgun for $250. Get some ammunition, put it in the corner of your bedroom. Anybody breaks in, boom, tell your wife, your spouse, or yourself, grab it, rack it, and you say, you come in my house, I'm going to shoot you. Guess what? Boom, that solves it, and that's $250. It takes, you can go to the range and learn it in, a couple boxes of ammunition. It's pretty simple to use. Firearms are very simple to use, and your house is protected if you're trying to prevent against that. What I'm trying to say with this, the last point here is there's also studies, there's 60-minute videos, there's all kinds of stuff. Most pet dogs, people that want pet dogs to defend the house, don't actually bite, or, most of them don't. There are videos of dogs that seem very vicious, and I can tell you this from working in the pet industry with dogs that we've met, that we come in, they bark for like 5 seconds, and then obviously the ones that are new and don't know who we are, they bark for a couple seconds, and then after 5 seconds they're like, oh, okay, you're not doing anything, you're kind of a cool person. So you're not going to get your dog to defend your house like you think. If somebody's afraid of a barking dog, that may turn a dog away, but that alertness from a dog is the natural byproduct of the dog being a dog. That is not something you would train into a dog. And then again, if somebody's breaking in and is unafraid of your barking dog, and then they're still pressing through, and then you want your dog to bite people, again, get an alarm system, get a shotgun, or find new friends and move to a new location in your house or in your neighborhood. Find a new neighborhood. The idea behind all of this is I don't want you to use a wild animal, to solve your problems in your life. If you have challenges, things that you're working on, don't use another organic object that if you don't have control of your life, don't attempt to say, I want another organic object, an external factor, to solve, protect, defend my family. You should be doing that yourself. If you, for example, there's many legal ways to solve protection, or at least put in place legal protections that would, protection from abuse does not prevent somebody from coming at you, but it just allows severe legal consequences for somebody coming into your territory, or into your personal space. Again, I always tell people, work on your relationships, work on your awareness, work on communicating with other individuals. As we all know, we've all had challenging relationships, previous relationships, whatever. You have to learn and work on your communication. That is most important. Don't have the dog who has no idea about relationships or how to communicate with humans have it being the protection for yourself and your family. So this is kind of a long-winded video here about the topic of what I'm trying to say is, don't use your dog to defend your house. Use your dog to have a nice loving pet that's socialized, gives you joy. You can take it out in the world and you're not worried about your dog attacking anything, biting people, whatever, biting other dogs, biting other people. And especially unless you are going to specifically purchase a security dog from a person who's done that type of training, you will know that that dog is only used for defending the house, and this is the only yard that it runs in, and it doesn't get to see anybody else and have an isolated life. If you want to do that, that is fine to do. But if you're worried about just protecting your house, get an alarm system or get a shotgun. It's not going to talk back. It's not going to bite. It's not going to poop in your house. It's not going to pull you down the street if you don't train it how to walk on a leash. But you'll defend your house. Keep everybody safe, and you don't have to expend as much energy. Treat the dog. Don't get a dog for a purpose that basically make sure you fill the dog's needs. Don't use the dog in a manner that it's not intended for, or at least it doesn't perform well under the circumstances that you were expecting it to. So hopefully that kind of brings you, just have your dog be a dog. Don't use it to defend your house. I already said that. This is the end of the video. Thanks as always for watching. This is Kevin Shriver from Downtown Pittsburgh Dogs. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment below. And thanks as always for watching. Have a great rest of the day.